Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
A new study suggests that Gen Z are now facing a blindness epidemic. It revealed that nearsightedness has increased a massive 59% in Gen Z. And the United Nations say that by 2030, it's going to affect 40% of the world's population. A top eye surgeon said that the leading cause is that youth are now spending too much time with their electronics too close to their face during a critical time in their life when they should be getting natural sunlight. I'm gonna have to say it. Blind generation before...
Here's another fun fact about eyesight. Most people who are nearsighted are found in cities because your eyes are not given the opportunity to focus at long distances because of the close proximity of the buildings.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
That citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
Okay.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Our public square has been flooded with sewage. It certainly seems like there's been a plan put in place that falls right along with the bullet points that Obama's naming off there. I think he's still calling a lot of the shots.
Oh, but we may actually have, my friend. We may already have. Let's take a second to get a few people mad out there with these photos of excavated giant bones found all over the world. But why would they be mad? Oh, it's because these are fake. That's right. Every one of these photos of giant bones have been deemed fake, but I'm gonna show you the real ones. Photos like this are claimed to have been part of an archaeology Photoshop contest back in the day, but were they just part of a cover-up? Let's start off easy. These 6.5-foot femur bones are confirmed real and weigh around 1,100 pounds. But they were of course labeled as dinosaur bones, belonging to a species called sauropods. Real convenient being able to just slap a dinosaur label on any potential giant remains we ever find, huh? A lot of people will say, it's only one bone, where's the rest of the giant then? Oh yeah? Where's the rest of the dinosaur, motherfucker? But you know what, they might actually be dinosaur bones, so let's not jump to conclusions yet. Like this 2-headed mummy discovered off the coast of Argentina in the 1600s, measuring 12 feet tall and currently on display in a museum, confirmed by many physicians to be real. Now there's this, a giant skeleton over 23 feet tall, uncovered in Ecuador and 100% confirmed real, which was later dismissed as an ancient sloth? Like, come on, they're just making shit up at this point. Another photo from Ecuador. Kinda blurry, I know, but almost no evidence pointing to it being faked. Here's a giant footprint fossil in South Africa, 4 feet long and estimated to have belonged to a being 24 to 27 feet tall. And finally, there's this. A much more human-looking femur bone, and not as thick as the others. Dug up in the Euphrates Valley in Turkey, measuring 47 inches and estimated to have belonged to a giant over 20 feet tall. All confirmed real, and giant excavations like these used to get widely reported in newspapers all the time back in the late 18 to mid-1900s, but now they're always quick to sweep these under the rug for some reason. With the Smithsonian, the world's leading museum and research education institution created by the US government, accused of covering up all giant findings and instead putting the spotlight on how fake the fakes are. Like they did with the San Diego giant in 1865, which is one of the smaller ones, inspected by dozens of scientists and featured in many newspapers. After which the Smithsonian purchased the giant for a pretty large sum, and then all of a sudden, many years later, they dismiss it as a hoax, saying that it was made from gelatin and we never see it again. Google searches of these giant excavations will obviously only bring up the fakes, pushing the most ridiculous ones to the top of the search results. The problem with finding definitive proof of these giants is the internet is laced with these Photoshop jobs. So all the Google debunkers are quick to downplay any new evidence that comes up, like, nah bro, it's fake, didn't you read that fact check article bro, even if real evidence were to come up. But even if real evidence were to come up, the alleged Smithsonian cover-up can easily just write a bunch of articles that discredit it as a hoax. We all know this isn't the first time governments and tech giants were caught deliberately manipulating data to control the narrative. A lot of the time, the difference between a conspiracy and fact is time. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% one of those cases, but keep that mind open, people.
My mind is definitely open to the possibility that giants existed. I'm, at this point, pretty well convinced that they did exist and that it's being hidden from us for whatever reason. You know, a good point that I think he makes is, the Smithsonian purchased the skeletal remains or the remains of that giant, and then years later they come out and say it was a hoax and that it was made out of gel. Wouldn't they have noticed that whenever they went to go make the purchase? It'd be pretty obvious. Clearly they're lying.
One of my clients, one of my patients, is a producer in Hollywood.
Kriegte vor 2 Jahren einen Auftrag von Disney.
2 years ago, he received a task from Disney
Alle alten Disney-Movies zu überarbeiten.
To go over and edit all the old Disney movies.
In den Himmel diese Streifen einzubauen.
To put into the scenes of the sky these stripes.
So, when people see a Disney-Movie
Also wenn
today,
dann die Leute einen Disney-Film schauen heutzutage.
Und sagen, weil Klinghardt, du sagst Klinghardt, dass diese Streifenbildung erst in den letzten Jahren so schlimm geworden ist.
And then for example, people say today, well, Klinghardt, you're talking about these stripes being formed on the sky today, only as of late.
Dann sagen sie, hier ist ein Film von 1954, guck dir den Himmel an.
Then they will say,
der hat die gleichen Streifen drin.
Look at this movie here from 1954. There are the same stripes at the sky.
Die Streifen sind ein natürliches Phänomen.
That then convince people that the stripes are a natural phenomena.
Mein Patient hatte für $60 Millionen bekommen.
My patient received for this job $60 million.
Chemtrails, baby. I'm pretty sure that's what they're referring to, trying to make us think that there's always been these chemtrails up in the sky and stuff, so we'll quit complaining about it. But yeah, they ain't convincing me. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I make a new one just like it every single day. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
The raw, unfiltered scientific proof for what the pyramids were really built for. This is what a real Egyptian tomb looks like, and this is the biggest tomb in the world, the Great Pyramid of Giza. The closer you look, the more you realize this pyramid was definitely not made for burying the dead, because the materials they used to build it are exactly what we'd use today to create an electric current. Giza used to be covered with bright white casing stones that were virtually airtight, made out of polished limestone brought from Tura, a quarry 500 miles away. Oh, they just wanted the pyramids to look all nice and white and cute, right? So much that they were willing to drag stones the length of Florida away to do so, for the aesthetic. This special limestone from Tura happens to have less magnesium in it than regular limestone, making it an ideal insulator of electricity, as well as perfect for reflecting sunlight to keep the inside cool. The interior chambers of the pyramid were built with rose granite containing 85% quartz, which is piezoelectric, meaning it produces a small electric charge when moved or squeezed, the same quartz that's used to power a watch battery or a barbecue lighter. Granite also ionizes the air inside the chambers, which further increases the conductivity of electricity. On top of being sourced from Aswan, another quarry hundreds of miles away, the granite slabs inside Giza have these weird structural designs to them that don't exactly look good and are just incredibly difficult to make. Why on earth would you build a roof like this that just makes the job 10 times harder using 80-ton stone blocks from hundreds of miles away that you can't even see from inside the chamber when it's done? Historians will tell you they were relieving chambers, meant to keep the room from collapsing from the great weight of the pyramid overhead, even though the chambers below had no such relief. On the other hand, if you were somehow able to apply pressure to these chambers, you'd get an electric charge from the quartz. A lot of it. But electricity can't just exist if we want to utilize it for energy. It needs to get directed through something in order for us to make use of it, an electric current. Copper is often used in wires to do just that. And take a wild guess what a remote camera revealed in the pyramid's narrow shafts just a few years back. 2 copper handles embedded into the stone at the end of the shaft, the only metal to have ever been confirmed in Giza, as well as a set of what appear to be instructions that looks like a wiring diagram painted on the side of the shaft, to which modern Egyptologists archaeologists claim these handles were used with ropes to pull jars up the shaft. They're just getting desperate at this point. These shafts really have no confirmed purpose. They're commonly referred to as air vents, but some of them don't even lead to the outside. In 2013, former Egyptian Antiquities Minister Zahi Hawass was accused of theft of Egyptian artifacts from the pyramid. In the list of items rumored to have been stolen, there was one that stood out from the rest. Long copper wires. A strange artifact by any means, and just what you'd need to complete an electric current. So were the pyramids built as giant batteries? I mean, we have all the pieces in place, but how exactly would this battery even work? Aerospace engineer Chris Dunn popularized the Giza power plant theory by kinda proving it with actual science, hard numbers, and a scale model. From the top, this is what the inside of Giza looks like. A top or king's chamber with a lower queen's chamber underneath it. A large slanted shaft, the grand gallery, connecting both chambers, and a bottom subterranean chamber with a bunch of long narrow shafts leading into each. According to Dunn, the pyramid is what's called a coupled oscillator, a device that's connected to a larger vibrating body in such a way that energy can be transferred between them, converting vibrational energy, the natural resonance of the earth, into microwave energy. Now, the earth, it vibrates, producing frequencies in the form of natural underground seismic activity, the Schumann resonances in Earth's electromagnetic fields, as well as the movement of water in key locations just below Earth's surface, which also creates vibrational frequencies. The entire process starts in the subterranean chamber, which was built directly above underground aquifers with powerful flowing water right under the pyramids. A convenient location for the perfect coincidence theory. It's said that the flowing water and possibly even seismic activity of the Earth would create vibrational waves that resonate throughout the pyramid. Vibrational waves that would be maximized at the center of mass of any object, and Giza just so happens to sit at the center of landmass of the world. Coincidence. Now, the real kicker was when traces of zinc and hydrochloric acid were found in the shafts leading into the Queen's Chamber. Dunn suggests that some ancient form of these two chemicals were poured down the shafts and mixed together in the chamber, which would trigger a chemical reaction, one that releases hydrogen gas, a proven process using the exact trace chemicals that were found in the shafts. The gas would travel from the Queen's Chamber through the Grand Gallery and up into the King's Chamber, while the pressure of the gas compresses the granite quartz and creates piezoelectricity, another proven process. Vibrations from below would trigger resonators in the Grand Gallery, which it was believed that 27 acoustic devices were placed in the empty slots that can be found here. The compressed quartz would create the spark for the vibrations to energize the hydrogen atoms into a microwave energy beam, which would reach the King's Chamber through this 4.8 times 8.4 inch watertight shaft cut into the granite. Conveniently, the perfect size for the hydrogen microwave wavelength at 21 centimeters, and the exact dimensions of what we call a waveguide today, a structure that guides the transmission of energy waves in one direction. And let me remind you, granite is harder than steel. Cutting a shaft like this is damn near impossible with known ancient technology, and definitely not something they do for fun. These microwaves would further resonate in the King's Chamber, which was tuned to a very specific frequency using those layers of stones in the roof. Remember those incredibly difficult stones above the chamber? That's how they tuned the pyramid's frequency. The sarcophagus in this room is expected to have been some source of high voltage, like the Baghdad battery. Further ionize the hydrogen and make that room superconductive. Gold-capped pips, as we believe the pyramids to have had, would also make the perfect conductor to attract the electricity and send it up into the atmosphere. Sounds like it's time for me to take my meds. A super pseudoscientific theory and highly theoretical at that, until you realize in 2018, studies proved that the pyramids can focus electromagnetic energy in their internal chambers and also directly beneath them. That's real, quantifiable, scientific evidence that supports this theory. Many archaeologists also report electromagnetic readings inside of the pyramids and directly above them. So the pyramid's exterior was made with an insulator, the interior with conductors, and the chambers with material that produces electricity. Are these all just coincidences? And even if we did have electricity generated in the pyramids, how would this energy even be distributed for everyone to use? Our boy Tesla may have known the answer and was silenced from revealing it to the world. Let's see if it's up.
Case closed as far as I'm concerned. Until somebody comes up with a better theory than that, I'm convinced that's what the pyramids were used for, was electrical generation or electricity generation, power generation. I think that was one of the best breakdowns I've ever seen on any theory of what the pyramids of Giza could have been used for.
I think all of humanity is ready for this one. This art installation can make some of the most detailed cymatic patterns you've ever seen in your life. It is a highly polished metal bowl, and when the light reflects down on it, it reflects the beautiful cymatic patterns on the ceiling. He even shows you how the pattern continues underwater, puts the camera inside of one, and you can see the light bending in the water. This is cymatics, and the study of it is about to change everything. This is the first ever picture of a molecule taken by IBM and published by HuffPost in 2009. This is a cymatic pattern. Just sound traveling through water made that pattern. It looks the same because the patterns resonate down to the quantum level. The distribution of quantum particles lines up exactly with this, which is the theory of everything in mathematics. Both share a symmetry of 26.9 Hz. That pattern is also the perspective used in the Florence Cathedral dome, one of the most famous art pieces of all time. It's a temple ceiling in India. This is one of the most famous synagogues in the world. The boundaries of religion can be bridged by sonic symmetry. This is one of the most famous cathedrals in the world. Art, science, and philosophy used to be one study. This is reflected in the earliest civilizations. They used this as a tool to teach the interconnectedness of all life through sound. They realized this resonates with your DNA. Feeling is epiphany, it's the aha moment. Feeling of understanding is addicting. Everything is connected this way, from the temple architecture to the mantras. Even the smallest details were used as a lesson. We are the only culture that separates our studies. The only way to stop it is to bring it back together.
The more I learn about frequencies and these somatic patterns and stuff, the more I'm convinced that we are relearning all this information, that we've lost it somewhere along the line and we're just starting to pick it all back up, because that would be the only way to explain how all these old ancient temples and buildings and stuff have all these frequencies carved into the design of them.
North Dakota too. Yes, sir. I mean, I've flown over more timber burned to the ground than make up the entire state of Maryland. And by the way,
a million-acre fire in my district.
Yes, and by the way, if you notice, you fly over in a helicopter, those places with roofs, they didn't burn.
With the right materials.
Yeah. So we got to change that. Anyway.
We got to cut some trees. We're letting people up the bill. Business to like scrap.
And by the way, you notice when you fly over with a helicopter, the only houses that are standing have blue roofs. It seems like they didn't let Biden in on the secret, because this is his second time bringing this up, like he's the only one that's noticed it in like a week. We're all aware of what the blue roofs are. Sounds like somebody needs to fill him in before he says something that they can't explain away.
That Elizabeth Taylor took Michael Jackson to the party. Okay. In some kind of way, in the party, it was induced and Michael Jackson OD'd. Really? In 1979? 1979.
So you saying did he pass away in 1979?
So I wasn't there. Okay. Let me tell you what I heard. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly, Michael Jackson was deceased in 1979. When Las Vegas found out about it, they said they could not have a pop icon die in Las Vegas. They had just lost the R&B king, Elvis Presley, 1977. They said it would be bad business. So I understood they went to the Jackson family and told them what happened, and that you got other sons. If we say this about Michael, then it'll ruin you. You'll be back in Gary, Indiana. Allegedly. All of a sudden in 1979, he's doing a commercial and a fire happened and his hair caught on fire.
Was that in 79? That was in the 80s, wasn't it?
1979.
In 79, his hair caught on fire?
1979, the Pepsi commercial.
Wow.
So he was in hibernation rehabilitating, so they said that they had lookalikes because they were recreating a Michael Jackson and making a clone.
Wow.
I'm still not convinced on this clone theory thing yet, but the idea that they would have taken somebody and trained them to sing like him and dance like him and then just swapped him out in order to keep that money rolling in, that's not outside the realm of possibility.
If we really live here, then what would be the motive in lying to us and telling us we live here? Well, first of all, money, and lots of it. Space and space exploration makes trillions of dollars. NASA makes $69 million a day off your tax dollars. That's more than all the McDonald's in the world makes a day, because they only make $63 million. Now that's just the materialist's motive. I think it goes deeper and more spiritual than that. Because we are talking about the Hebrewic, the ancient depictions of Earth, the biblical depictions of Earth. Because modern science would say that the Big Bang created the universe. Think about that. Universe. One verse, one string of words. You see, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke it into existence with just one string of words. And he created a vaulted dome, also known as the firmament. And the new version of Earth doesn't have a firmament. Now, we all know about this guy, Satan, right? He used to be an angel named Lucifer. The whole reason he got cast down from heaven was because he was jealous of God and wanted to be God, and not being able to create a world of his own, he had to pervert what was already created and make his own version, even calling it the universe. One string of words. We were given clues in Revelation 13 of how we could point him out. It says, "Here is wisdom, the one who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is a man's number, and his number is 666. Here's one example. Man is made of carbon. Carbon is comprised of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. This signifies that our material self is finite, and we should live by the spirit and not by the flesh. We are left with several clues showing us how to find the number of the beast and separate from that. Just like this model here. We got a 23.4 degree tilt on Earth, leaving 66.6 degrees in a 90-degree angle. Not only that, but this elliptical orbit, the Earth actually speeds up and slows down by 666 miles per hour in this orbit. Also, the Earth's curvature, it actually curves at 0.666 feet per mile squared. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. With Satan's perversion, he wants you to open the Bible, begin to read, and see that there's so many contradictions within the first paragraph or two that you just shut it and say, well, this doesn't line up with science. Knowledge truly is power, and if you live in this perverted version, then your mind has become captive. And we have so many people with Stockholm Syndrome who defend that model and allow themselves to stay in the prison of their mind and spirit. As we are trying to make people aware of the biblical depiction of Earth, I'm noticing that this version tries to lie about this one to try to poison the well or create a straw man of this model. You will see them insist that we live on this little flat disc going around the sun with all the other planets, or that we're just a disk floating in space and the sun and the moon just go around it like this. So how come if this is the truth, it can't just fight fair and allow this to be what it is? Allow it to be what we really believe rather than try to poison the well? Well, it's because the demonic forces and principalities that rule this world are liars. Well, you see, the truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. A lie needs your permission and participation to even exist in your mind. Now, if this were the truth, would it feel the need to lie about this to try to strengthen its argument? No. The last thing that this guy wants you to figure out is that you don't live in his world. You were more than just a sack of flesh that came about by chance and you're just going to rot away with everything else. He thinks he's deceived you all. He thinks when you open the Bible, you're going to see his world rather than the Creator's world. He thinks he's got you all fooled. But we're waking you all up.
I think this is one of the best explainers that I've seen as far as explaining why it's important to believe in the flat earth for those who are flat earth believers. I don't fall in that camp myself, but I get that question a lot of why does it matter, or why is everyone so hung up on the shape of the earth? Felt like that was a really good explanation as to why.
You dare tell me my knowledge is worse than mainstream scientists. So here in New Scientist, it says that genomes of modern Indian people include a wide range of Neanderthal DNA. However, if you go to medicineplus.gov, it says here the percentage of Neanderthal in modern humans is 0 or close to 0. However, if you scroll down a bit further, you'll see in the Smithsonian that it says that we actually have about 6 to 9%. However, if you scroll a bit further, you see that also Smithsonian again says that we've got about 4%. So in other words, they don't know what they're talking about. So this goes back to my beginning comment where I say, do not tell me that my knowledge is worse than mainstream science, because they lie. So it's a lot easier if you guys follow me. I won't lie to you. All my videos have evidence and facts, whereas clearly they have no idea what they're talking about in science.
And this is why I will never take the trip to Mars, because science cannot agree on whether there's an atmosphere there. 10 years ago they said there wasn't, now they say there is. And you look at stuff like this, the Smithsonian can't even agree with theirself. They've got 2 different estimations of potential Neanderthal DNA in our genes. So it doesn't make any sense. This is why you can't trust everything that you hear in a newspaper. Every time a science comes out with some new revelation, you can't just jump on board with it and take it at face value.
Alexa, can you please tell me about the Restrict Bill 686, cleverly disguised as the TikTok bill?
The Restrict Act, S. 686, would allow the government to access all of the data on your video devices if it is a service that uses over 1 million people. This includes services like Ring doorbell / in-home security cameras and so much more.
Why would the government need to see what's going on in our home? It's a serious thing, you guys. This bill that is being passed is not about TikTok. It's not even about taking away our freedom of speech or, oh, now I'm not going to make money on a platform anymore. No, it's so much more than that. It's like the Patriot Act. They used 9/11 to make us fearful, and then they passed something under the guise of for our health and safety, as they always do. And this is the most dangerous bill yet. And you're going to need to share this because this is huge. And if we don't stand up, this is not about freedom of speech anymore. This is about losing our sense of privacy, which none of us really have anymore anyway. It goes beyond that because it's giving them the potential, without due cause, they can make up a reason why they think you might be a threat, and boom, you go to jail, based off of your doorbell ringer. You got a smart home? You better get rid of that because you know what smart means, and it doesn't mean intelligent.
Restrict Act, Senate Bill 686, proposes jail time for using a VPN to access certain websites or apps operated by foreign adversaries. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
You use your own VPN number, and then you're really going to jail. Because you would be considered a terrorist using your own VPN number. So they're not even going to let you be secure in that way. What else is in the Bill 686?
Senate Bill 686, also known as the Freedom and Openness in the United States Act, has been met with controversy due to its potential impact on free speech and online censorship. The bill grants significant power to the federal government to control information and communications, making it similar in scope to the Patriot Act. By granting immunity from public oversight, the bill raises concerns about the potential for abuse and lack of accountability. Opponents of the bill have expressed worries about its effects on digital freedom and the ability of citizens to access accurate and unbiased information.
Would Bill 686 take away our freedom to speak?
No, Bill S. 686, a proposed legislation, does not take away people's freedom to speak. The bill aims to combat terrorism by creating a national strategy for preventing terrorist radicalization and recruitment within the United States. It does not limit citizens' rights or infringe on their freedom of speech.
Terrorism.
You don't mean foreign terrorists, you mean terrorists in your own country who go against what the government say and come together on platforms like this, and then you can label it as terrorism so you can send us to jail, that kind of terrorism?
The Restrict Act would allow the government to access all of the data on your video devices if it is a service that uses over 1 million people. This includes services like Ring doorbell / in-home security cameras and so much more.
Hashtag kill Bill 686. We're not doing this again, you guys. We're not doing the Patriot Act 2.0. Didn't we learn anything from 9/11 and them using our fear to pass through bill without our influence? We're not doing this again, you guys. We're not doing the Patriot Act 2.0. Didn't we learn anything from 9/11 and them using our fear to pass through bill without our informed consent? Don't even get me started on that one. They're trying to use China, the Communist Party. Oh, we're going to protect them from their safety and their security by implementing the same thing the Communist Party does, which is take away the freedom of speech and monitor your shit and then invade your privacy through your doorbells, and all that shit has to do with TikTok. We got to stop this. Kill Bill 686. I'm done.
Anyone else find it funny how they give these things names like freedom of blah blah blah, and then it's exactly the opposite of that? It's stripping your freedoms away. It's like they give these things titles to try to mislead and misdirect the true intentions of what it is they're actually voting on. I'm not going to lie, this bill scares the mess out of me. I'm worried that it's going to pass because everybody in Congress seems to be on board with it. Everybody in the Senate seems to be on board with it. And Biden's already said he'll sign it. So I think this is going to happen, unfortunately. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. My camera's actually about to die. I'm going to try and finish this up before it goes kaput. I hope everyone enjoyed these clips that we watched together today. I will be back tomorrow with another video like I always am. I hope you come back to join me. Hope everybody has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your Saturday, and I will see you tomorrow.